Hi Year 6, welcome to lesson 2 of our reading for this week on Brightstorm. Once again, we are working on inferring characters' feelings, thoughts, motives and character, and using evidence from the text to support our answers. So what I want you to do now is you could pause the video and read through chapter 2 of Brightstorm, or you can do that at the end, but there will be some questions at the end to answer on the text. What I would then like you to consider is what is meant by inference. So our reading skill this week of inference, what is it? How do you do it? Okay, so first of all, hopefully you have thought about inference as a skill. Inference and inferring is when you are a detective. So it's taking a text and thinking about what is implied and meant by what the author has written and their choice of vocabulary and language. So it's not what is written in the text and retrieving that information, because that would be retrieval. It's thinking about what's implied, what's meant, what clues have been given about something that the author wants you to work out. And that's what inference is. Okay, recap. What's an impression? So an impression, once again, is a feeling or a sense about something or someone. It can be you forming an opinion about a thing, an object, a person, a place. And that is what an impression is. So we often talk about first impressions. So what is your first impression when you meet someone, for example? You could think they're a nice person. You could think, oh, they're not my cup of tea. Or your first impression of a place. When you first go somewhere, you could think, oh, I really like this place, or oh, I'm not sure about that. So an impression is something that you form about something, and it's a feeling, idea or sense about that place or thing or person. You're often asked to comment on what a character may be like or what impression you get about them. So character traits are what we would expect you to answer in those such questions. So yesterday I spoke about being determined and being bossy. Okay, they both came up with Maria. So when you are answering questions and they say, what impression do you get of the character? It is a character trait that we usually want as a response. It's not a feeling. So you may be required to give your impression of a thing or a place. So here's part of the text that we have read before. So this is me showing you how to answer this question. The question says, look at the paragraph beginning, well, she'd just have to not fall. The cat was too shiny, too chubby. What conclusion does Gabby draw from this? Well, so first of all of the words that are in italics in the question are obviously from the text. So we found the paragraph because I have located it and I've trimmed it. And you're looking for the words, the cat was too shiny or too chubby. With the answer, I want you to do the point because the evidence has been provided. So, well, she'd just have to not fall. Simple as that. Here, kitty, kitty, she called out, the same way she'd heard her mum call for stray cats hundreds of times. But this was no stray. The cat was too shiny, too chubby. Around its neck a rhinestone collar with gold charms sparkled. Someone loved that cat. She reached out toward it. Almost got you. Mistake number 2. The cat arched its back and hissed. So, thinking about the fact that the cat was too chubby, too shiny, what conclusion can we draw? The bit before says the next part, but this was no stray. The cat was too shiny, too chubby. Well, you should be able to infer from the fact that the cat was too shiny and too chubby that it's not a stray, because obviously if it was a stray cat, it would possibly look a bit mangy. The fur wouldn't be, it might be a bit mangled and a bit dirty, and it wouldn't be chubby because it would be fending for its own food. So therefore, we can come to the conclusion and the point that the cat is not a stray and that it's loved by somebody. Okay, next we have what evidence supports the point, which is David Walliams' determination in this section. So David Walliams was determined, that's the point, to be successful in his attempt to swim the English Channel. Give one piece of evidence from the text which shows this. So I'm going to read through the text and I want you to try and locate the evidence that supports the point that he was determined. That's his character trait as well. The author, comedian and actor David Walliams says that he was never sporty at school, but he did enjoy swimming. While preparing for his Channel swim, Walliams didn't miss a single training session in 9 months. He knew that more than 90% of people who attempt the swim fail. Walliams took 10 hours and 34 minutes to cross the Channel. His swim raised more than $1 million in donations for the charity Sport Relief. Okay. Did you manage to locate the piece of evidence that shows that he was determined? What did he do, or what did he think that helped him in his swim that showed he was determined? So give one piece of evidence from the text that shows this. So hopefully you located this piece of information. I've also obviously highlighted this part because that's the key information that we have, and it's only asking for one piece of evidence. So while preparing for his Channel swim, Walliams didn't miss a single training session in 9 months, okay? That shows that someone's determined because they're determined to do well. He didn't miss a single training session in 9 months, and there's the piece of evidence to support the point of determination. Okay, so now we've got, look at the paragraph beginning, carefully Michael leaned. What, question word, does this paragraph tell you about Michael's character? So this is the impression of Michael. And what you need to do is explain 2 different features of his character using evidence from the text to support your answer. So have a think, what strategy would you need to use? Hopefully you've said you would use PE, PE. And the reason why is because it's asked for 2 different features, so 2 different points, and it's also a 3-mark question. So if we do PE, PE twice, it will usually cover the 3 marks. And if you've got one bit wrong, you've usually done enough to get at least 2. Okay, so I'm going to read this through and I want you to think what tells you something about Michael's character as we're reading. Carefully, Michael leaned over to look. On one side of the boat lay the whale's tapering tail. On the other side, the head with its scarred lines lay like a piece of huge dark wreckage. This close, Michael could see that big sections of skin had peeled off in straight lines, giving the whale's head a patchwork look in greys and blacks. Closest of all to the boat, only just submerged, was the whale's eye. Michael looked right into it, and the whale looked back. It was so very, very close. He leaned out further and further, stretching his hand slowly towards it. The whale didn't draw away. I want you to now see if you can answer that question using point and evidence. So what point would you say about Michael's character? So thinking about that character traits list. If you need to go back to that part of the video, then go back and you can have that on and you can think, what traits can you see from that part of the text? Also, you need to be writing your evidence. You can use quotations and just take it directly from the text, and that will be sufficient enough to get the answer. Okay, so what I've done is I have marked on the text for brave where I have found the text reference that shows me, so the hint that the author has given me that he is brave. So Michael leaned over to look. Michael looked right into the eye. Okay, so I've literally written brave, and then I've used the 2 different text references in quotation marks just here. Okay, they're also inverted commas. Okay, next I have highlighted in blue where I think he's a bit cautious. So he leaned out further and further, stretching his hand slowly towards it. And there's the text reference. This is generally the mark scheme for 3-mark questions. So it says, note this is a 3-mark question. So you get 1 mark for 1 point made. You get 2 marks for 1 point with appropriate evidence. And you get 3 marks for 2 marks with 1 piece of relevant evidence. So if you use this PE model, then you're most likely to get at least 2 marks or 3 marks because you're making 2 different points and should hopefully have backed it up with at least 1 piece of evidence. So when tackling these questions, you have to use PE to get maximum marks, particularly on 3-mark questions, and you're looking for clues from the author to be a detective. Right, now what I need you to do, if you haven't read chapter 2, go and read chapter 2. You could always read the questions first to get a bit of a gist of what you're looking for, but read through chapter 2 and answer the questions using the strategies that we have spoken about today.